And then there's Dr. Abdullah, who ran against Karzai and who didn't seem to have a visa problem getting into America recently. Do you want to talk a little bit about who he is and now that he's being made out to be the new savior of Afghanistan?
You know, Dr. Abdullah is one of those fundamentalist Northern lines who speak very well, seem like many other these warlords, learn to talk about democracy, women's rights, human rights, and now pretending himself as an opposition of Hamid Karzai's regime, while he was part of the Karzai's regime, this 10 years of occupation, had high posts, and he was foreign minister. And sometimes, like chess game, they are shifting their places, and also received millions of dollars, these fundamentalist Northern lines, since Cold War, from the US government, CIA, ISI, other countries, Russia, Iran, other these neighbor countries. And Abdullah is one of those that now US government want to do whitewash to him, and nowadays he is in US. And Abdullah, not only Abdullah, many other warlord criminals we know, even Talib, spokesperson of Taliban, when destroyed Buddha's the statue, he defends. I will show you later the picture. He is right now in the Yale University studying. And now they are working on Abdullah as try to do whitewash. Maybe he will be another future president of Afghanistan, while I believe he is more dangerous than Karzai. Because bloody hands he has, and this 10 years he already was in power, betrayed our people. And now this is again US government and NATO that they are their close friends and giving them their tribunes, and they are coming in the Western countries. Even WikiLeaks exposed that governmental men and women bring here to put dust in the eyes of the good people around the world. And this is what briefly I told you about Abdullah. Some books later I recommend to you, and these books also, the books of these honest writers you will read, that to know better about this fundamentalist with suit and tie, this terrorist with suit and tie.
I know one of the things I always hear when I talk about how necessary it is for the U.S. to get out of Afghanistan is what will happen to the women. Our troops and our occupation is protecting the women. But I just want to read you a couple statistics that according to the UN, every 30 minutes a woman dies during childbirth in Afghanistan. 87% of Afghan women are illiterate. 1 in every 3 Afghan women experience physical, psychological, or sexual violence. As many as 80% of women face forced marriages, and life expectancy for women is 44 years. The stories of women are in schools. Yes, there's much more freedom, many more women in government. I want to just talk about the cover of Time magazine, because I think that was a real bizarre moment in American life. The picture, that bizarre and hideous picture of Biba Asha, I think was her name, with the missing nose. And the subtitle was, what happens if we, what happens if we leave Afghanistan? Making the correlation that this is happening because we are in Afghanistan. And I really want you to talk about that, because I think that perception is really ingrained in the people, beginning with Bush, who used the pretext of protecting the women of Afghanistan as the reason for invading. And I was always shocked by that, seeing that Bush had absolutely no interest in ever promoting women's rights in this country. It was suddenly amazed that he had a great interest in promoting women's rights in Afghanistan. It was really stunning that he suddenly had this breakthrough and revelation. But I think it would be really interesting to hear your perspective on what you felt when you looked at that cover of Time magazine.
Yeah, the Time magazine is a good example. I have the picture of this one. Also, if you want later, I can show that. I want to tell Bibi Aisha was not the first one, and unfortunately she will not be the last one, because as long as the warlords in power, these misogynist warlords, and now negotiating with the Taliban situation, for men and women day by day getting worse, especially for the women. But they never bring those women who get disfigured by cluster bomb. Here I have a picture of this woman that you can see as a proof that they used during this 10 years of occupation. The picture of the white phosphorus in Farah province that they use. Never bring them for treatment here in Western countries because their war crimes get exposed. For their propaganda machine, they brought Bibi Aisha that even misuse from the miseries of the women of Afghanistan. And for example, many times I hear Laura Bush and other so-called politicians of the US, they say shamelessly, publicly through media to their people that first time we brought women's rights in Afghanistan, which is a big lie. And also the women of Afghanistan, even this 10 years of occupation, so-called war on terror, they didn't got even the limited rights they enjoyed in the century 60s and 70s. Later I can show you some example. But see that now we have Ministry Office for the Women. Let me give you one example, how much is symbolic and did nothing. 17 years old, a woman in Kunar province, she has been because of domestic violence of her husband, she escaped from the house going to the shelter of the Ministry Office of the Women. There she handed over to the house of the head of the provincial council, and his name is Mia Hassan, a powerful warlord. He took her in his room and twice raped her. And then this brave woman stand up and expose, and then a brave local lawyer want to follow the case, receive death threats by gunpoint. And many other example like this most of these 68 members of parliament, they have just peaceful, symbolic role. Many other example like killing a woman, like killing a bird. Later I can show you a slideshow that same like Taliban time. The woman they beat in public. They beat the woman in public by lashes, and then even shoot on the head of these two women. One of them was pregnant, accused to prostitute. And even stoned to death, two couple in Badghis province, we accused them to love affair. Many other examples regarding situation of the woman, killing a woman, that much easy for the warlord Taliban like killing a bird.
So when people say if the US leaves, the Taliban will take over and women will go backwards, what do you say to that?
You know, those who say that if the troops leave, first, my response is that, as I said earlier, we are between three enemies. At least one enemy get lost. The external enemy, and the godfather of these fundamentalists, not only these Islamic fundamentalists in Afghanistan, I believe in the region. If they honestly stop, they will die. And the backbone of these fundamentalists will break. Because if there will be more there, they are giving more gun, more dollars, more power in high posts to these terrorists, and they will be more powerful and will be much more easier for them to eliminate other democratic-minded few parties we have. More than this, we have intellectuals, activists, who are risking their life, most of them underground. Even this disgusting burqa, which is symbol of oppression, give life and safeties. So to fight against these two enemies, of course, nobody expects that situation will be like heaven if they leave, and it will be easier for us to fight against them. That's why we are asking for the international solidarity from justice-loving people around the world, human rights organizations, feminist organizations, anti-war movement, and different intellectuals groups. They are the ones who should put pressure on their government that end this brutal war. But those Afghan, even those Afghan I know living in the West, I heard many times, especially from those who are living in the West, I hear from them, and also those women who got fame and wealth from this occupation, even not they are fundamentalists. They say, they support occupation in Afghanistan. They are pro-occupation and pro-war. My response to them is this, that what happened in this glorious uprising happened in Tunis and Egypt and these countries. Behind of this was the hand of no one of these foreign countries. This is the nation who can liberate themselves. They stand up because of these dictators. But in Afghanistan, later I will tell you, it takes time, but which is positive things. There we have many positive things and hope. In this 30 years war, we almost lost everything, but we got one positive thing, which is political knowledge of these people, political knowledge of these most of non-educated, poor, suffer people of the country. And this is a hope. Resistance of the people, later if you want, I can give you some example, is a hope. Day by day getting more proudful history we have, never accept occupation. British in the past want to occupy Russia, they face with resistance of the people. And the key point is that people hate the warlord in Taliban. And for this prolonged risky struggle, the key is international solidarity and education support, because I believe it's a key toward emancipation.